It's like this beautiful, perfect fall day, and there's 3 big garden things that I want to get done that I want to film 3 separate videos for. And I want to do this. I love my job. I'm so incredibly grateful that I get to do this for my job because it has been so flexible, but at the same time, it's very inflexible in that there can be a day like today where I wake up and I'm just not in it. I don't have the energy and I have to do it anyway because we're about to get a nor'easter. So the weather's going to be really bad for the next week. And I put out a video a week. Sometimes there's just no way around it. And then I want to come on here and be honest and transparent and not light up my face when I'm not feeling lit up inside. And sometimes that energy just doesn't perform as well. People don't want to watch that, which I get. Nothing's wrong. I'm just very pregnant and not sleeping and in a lot of pain when I think about talking to the camera in any other way that I'm doing right now. I just don't know how to do that in a way that's honest because I'm just tired. I feel like even if I came on here with the most amount of energy that I could manage, you would still pick up on that. I'm visibly very tired. And as much as I want to be able to provide really specific, here's how to save seeds, here's how to do your final harvest and clean out the garden, here's how to harvest and preserve herbs, because that's what my plan was today. My brain literally won't even make the words come out in the way they need to come out. I can't do the structure of the video in my head to be okay, we're going to talk about this plant and this plant and this plant, and then we're going to come inside and we're going to do the drying techniques, and I'm going to make sure I mention this critical point at this time. These are all thoughts that go through my head normally when I'm filming, and so much of that energy is just gone. It's just not there. I think it's also just the October slide thing. The light is fading, it's getting dark earlier out, and that's never good for my mental health. As much as it's beautiful during the day, I don't really know what the answer is. So we're going to film, we're going to get things done. We're going to be as real about it as we possibly can be. And hopefully you learn something or you feel inspired or you feel less alone, because that's always been my goal. We had our first frost last night, and I think it was around 30 for at least 8 hours. So I'm kind of surprised at how good everything still looks out here, considering that. I mean, there's definitely some frost damage on the hibiscus and the basil and things like that, but a lot of this stuff still looks okay. I just know that at this point, the produce that's still in the beds is not going to survive out here much longer. So I'm going to pull everything off, all the peppers and eggplants and green tomatoes, and bring them inside. And then we need to actually rip out most of the stuff that's in these beds. I'm going to cut it back this year and let the roots compost back into the beds until I pull them out in the spring. It's trickier to do that method in these beds because they are elevated, so they're not connected to the ground and things don't break down as fast. And so then I have root balls in the spring that end up needing to come out. But I'll leave them in as long as I can so that they can return some of those nutrients back to the soil. And there's some cold hardy stuff and some perennials in the beds that will stay. But yeah, it's gonna start looking pretty sad behind me. The only good thing is the greenhouse is full of plants and life, and it will stay that way all fall and winter long. So we'll do a tour of what's left after this first frost at some point. But today our focus is really just on ripping the plants out. I don't think I'm going to do the seed saving or the herb preservation today. I'm not sure if I'll do those videos at all. Sometimes when I get stuck in a rut like this, the only way through it is to come up with a completely new, different idea. So we have another idea that I could film next week that is fairly low energy because I have none. Let me know. But yeah, it's always kind of bittersweet pulling stuff out of the garden. But let's see what we can get. This is the front pepper bed, and honestly, I think it's the one we're going to leave the longest just to see what it does, because there's just a few smaller jalapenos in here still. The nasturtium doesn't mind the cold so much. It'll probably keep going for another few more weeks. There are some shishitos, the last of those, so I'm going to pick those. And I'm going to leave a lot of the stuff in this bed because it still looks nice, and it's the front beds that we see from the house the most. And I have some Swiss chard in here that's really looking unhappy. I was going to move it into the greenhouse, but at least this yellow one is like really stressed looking. I might bring the white and the red one inside. And I'm just going to pick this jalapeno because it's on its way out anyway. Yeah, and then the celery will stay probably another month too. It's October 10th. So usually these things start to slow down, but they don't fully die back for another few weeks. And then on the arches here, I do have some cucamelons. It always takes me forever to find them because they're so little. Ooh. This kind of pinkish berry thing is the Malabar spinach. It never really produced the foliage that I would harvest to eat, but it's really pretty. It's got like beautiful magenta stems. I don't know, I planted it in the spring and it only just started growing, which is really odd. I guess I should probably show you these cucamelons up close because a lot of people have not seen them before, although I feel like they got really trendy on Instagram for a minute there, so maybe everyone has. But they look like tiny mini watermelons, but they're more like cucumbers, except they're really tart. Kind of like a grape watermelon cucumber hybrid. I mean, it's not actually a hybrid of those things, but flavor-wise, they're very crunchy. I love them. The tomatillos got really stressed by the deer. So this is literally the first time I'm harvesting tomatillos this year. It's October 10th. And generally I like to wait for them to really fill out the husk more, but we don't have time for that. I'm not really sure like how the stress from the deer got them this bad because they're very like productive now. It's a big bushy plant. It ended up growing up the trellis, which I wasn't expecting it to. The last harvest always makes me a little bummed out. Last big harvest. There will still be greenhouse harvests. That's mostly greens and some root crops. The radishes in there are huge, actually. Should probably pick some. See how like this one is split open? That's how I like to pick them. Most of them are not doing that right now. I'm not really bothering with these tiny ones because they're be empty still. They should feel pretty heavy. There's even a passion fruit, which I did not think I would get any passion fruit this year because I put it in like August, July, and I got 2 and the second one is not doing well. So I'm not even sure how it got pollinated. There must be other passion fruit plants nearby because it is a native maypop variety, but I've never seen any around here just growing wild unless someone else is growing them in their garden. This one's still putting off flowers and they don't even look like they got damaged. This one's a lot bigger, but like this has this huge husk and tiny, yeah, those are no good. This bed had a bunch of tomatoes in it that I was honestly just leaving as sacrificial ones in case the deer came back and started munching, so they've all just kind of started falling and rotting. There's a couple green ones. This one's not good though. My poor zinnias totally collapsed. I don't think there's anything else to eat in this bed. I just have to cut it all back. Back here I had more basil and peppers. I never really did that well. The basil's gone to seed. This pepper plant is still making flowers, which is just kind of ridiculous to me. And then there's a few Ichiban eggplant that I doubt will get to full size, but they didn't seem to mind the frost too much, so maybe we'll leave them and see what they do. This carrot I missed from the summer. Let's see how they get. If you don't harvest them, they get really rooty and tough. It's no good, so probably we don't want to eat that anymore. Just put it in the compost. This is one of our banana pepper plants. It kind of knocked itself over in a windstorm and never went back up. So we'll just take those off and this one can be cut back. This is another banana pepper. There's a lot of small ones on here, but I don't think they're going to do anything in time because it's loaded though. That's a lot. This is a bell pepper plant. None of these are forming the correct shape I would expect them to. And they're all very small. This doesn't seem to have anything on it. These are just that bell pepper. It's just a bummer. Most of this stuff didn't do that well. This is our second tomato bed. You can see everything got really crispy. I pretty much just left it to look full for the baby shower, but I should have cut these back a while ago. And we'll just take the green tomatoes. See if any more of these tomatillos are mature. So it's just empty husks. Last bed. This basket's getting heavy. There's actually a really beautiful Italian eggplant in here. Normally I would take this off with Fiskars, but we're not really trying to protect the plants at this point. And there's one more back here. That is beautiful. So nice. There are some sunfolds in this grow bag that we need to grab. And this plant really does not look happy. Let it go. But anything to get another sunfold or two, right? They are best. A lot of them have split in a gross way, so I'm not going to eat them. And I'm taking any that have even just a hint of color. The last of them are so good. This is what we got. It's pretty full, pretty heavy. Green tomatoes and eggplants. That's fine. Okay, I'm gonna get some clippers and some gloves, and we're gonna say goodbye to the garden. So I'm just using my favorite Falcos. If you're gonna have one pair of clippers, it should be these. I'll link them for you down below. And I'm just gonna make a big compost pile. I'm not even gonna bother with carrying it all over there right now because this is already taking way more energy than I have. And you can break up tasks like this. You do not need to do it all at once. I'm a little sad I didn't plant many fall crops out here. There are some, but I'm not sure how well they'll do because it stays so shady over here this time of year. We'll leave our nasturtium. I always put it off and then it's so much easier to take it out than it was to put it back in. So much faster. That's the majority of it done. Obviously I'm letting the stuff on the arches kind of stay in place as long as I can because it's still nice and green. I'm gonna be missing green very soon, except in the greenhouse. My hips are hurting really bad. It's a lot of pressure. Baby's getting big. It's at that point where I'm trying to get everything ready and slow down on work and just enjoy the calm and quiet because everything's about to change a lot. I'm really excited for it to change. We need this change. We need chaos. We need a little bit of noise in our life. It is still weird to think that very soon my life will be very different. I guess in a lot of ways the garden is always very different every year too. Thanks for coming along for the ride.